Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another of my streams. This is Roger Hanson, and this is Live with Roger Hanson. Today's topic is storytelling, and I'll start off where I finished last week. Today, I'd like to welcome Karma Love back. You say hi, Karma. You want
Yeah,
to say
hi everyone. How are you?
and welcome. Last week, I'd gone over my story with Lycia. The story itself, by the way, I'm naming it Clash, and it'll make sense later on when I have more of the story written, but it's called Clash. And
When'd you
this
come
is,
up with your name?
well, this is a short story within it. It's about Lycia and King Zuthra, basically. I don't want to put my name on it. I just want to like make a name up, make it cool like that. So,
Right. It's creative. I like it. Like I rather, like it could be based on true events to an extent, you know what I mean? Incorporate some truth within the fantasy illusion part, and that just makes it fun. That's what I feel like makes it fun. It's like a matador. A matador, is that what half man, half horse, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Those things are so dope to me. I don't know why, but they look super cool.
Now,
And that's kind of like real life.
in the story, we left off where Obtu was captured. He was the Draconian, and he was imprisoned within the lower levels of Zuthra's palace, and Zuthra was the Overking. All right, and
Hmm.
the lower levels of the Divine Palace also had the Divine Throne Room that I described at the beginning, and in
The one in the middle with the steam and stuff that comes up underneath. Yes, I remember.
um, and where he's being held prisoner is a place where the moms and Zuthra can monitor over him, make sure watch his every move basically. Now, when
Huh.
right as he's getting captured, I'm gonna make it to where Zuthra discovers that Tiana, his wife, betrays him for the Draconians, and from that point on, she leads an invasion against Zuthra with support from the Draconians, and during that part, all the cities on every planet within Zuthra's realms are being simultaneously attacked. Now, I mentioned to you before about there's planes of existence in this story. Now,
Yes.
now there's within those planes there's also realms, and Zuthra is the overking of the three uh, t- realms, the top realms, which are the realms or the planes of light. Now, when you go into the fourth plane, and fifth and the sixth plane, those are the planes of darkness. That's ruled by the Draco, so that's their realms that they rule over. So, um, what's taking place now is Zuthra's wife Tiana has turned against him because I mentioned that in the last video where he he seduced her into marriage and impregnated her, and she and her people didn't believe in that stuff because they thought of men as uh, lower beings. You know what I mean, basically. And it offended her, and she wants revenge for what he had done. So that's how it came to be, where she betrayed him in the end.
Okay, and what was it exactly that he did?
What was what exactly?
That she wanted revenge for? Are you saying revenge for what he done?
Yeah, remember whenever I told you about how when he took wives, he seduced them?
Oh yeah, 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 with his mind and stuff like that. So that's what she was looking for the revenge for. Yeah, he could have sex with them without actually having to touch them, and he can impregnate them and control them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
But
you
okay,
got
I
to
get it.
remember too her background too. The environment she was raised up in. It was a woman dominant environment, and they looked down on men, you know what I mean? So
And that's what made him feel like he had to conquer her because she was kind of like a mission almost type thing. Yeah, I remember now.
well, I
So
wanted it to be more of like lust, you know what I'm saying? Like with that whole aspect, it's like you know, you look at Zuthra, and Zuthra has pretty much godlike abilities, you know what I mean? But he's still just a man, you know what I mean, with the same emotions, same stuff, and he gave into his lust because he couldn't resist her, you know what I mean? Because Tiana isn't like just an ordinary woman; she's gonna be like a beautiful woman, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So even though she's evil and she's all that, she's very beautiful, and it caught his eye, and he desired her and wanted her, so he gave into his lust, which in turn he actually seduced her through bloodlust because she wanted, or that's all she wants is bloodlust, you know what I mean? She loves to torture and kill, basically. So
I'm laughing. It's not funny, but I was really quiet because I was laughing. It's just not so funny. I know it's not funny, but I said Jeffrey Dahmer, so you know my humor is probably a little different. Like seriously, I'm just sitting here thinking about this woman and like savagely ripping people, man, apart, and like probably like wiping, like wearing like big fur boots, and she has like this kind of like a fur, not really fur, but like a
leather,
fur, yeah, like or leather, yeah, leather, whatever this
BDSM
breastfeed.
kind of thing.
Yes, and then like her boots are so hardcore, and she's like wiping her mouth full of blood, and she's just standing with like a shield on her back and a sword, and she's just wiping her mouth like this. I guess for the movie, not so much the book, because I don't know if you're going to do pictures, but it's just like you know what I mean. Like I can just see her, and she's just standing on top of the hill, and she's just looking at all the work she's done, and people are like dying. Dying. Everyone's dying everywhere, and she's just standing on top of the hill with this serious, crazy look. But it's so hot because she's beautiful, and at the same time, you know she's deranged, so it's so dope. And like she's just like wiping her mouth, like she just got finished eating somebody, like she got blood all over her arms and stuff. But she didn't necessarily.
I didn't want to bring
Well, she doesn't
cannibalism
have
into
to eat them, but she doesn't care if she gets the blood on her. You know what I mean? So it looks like
Yeah.
she just ate someone, but she didn't really eat someone. You can kind of get that illusion to where like she probably definitely just got finished killing someone, and that her blood is all over, her, and she just like wipes her face like ugh, like yeah, like I don't know. Go ahead, let me stop talking and you
It's
keep
fine.
talking.
It's
My
fine.
crazy is showing.
Now, the imams and Zuthra are watching over it, Abtu, but that's also the time when Zuthra finds out about Tiana's treacherous acts of betrayal. Now, this is when the invasion starts happening, okay? And I want to kind of put it in, or envision kind of like fire falling from the skies of these worlds with Zuthra's cities on them, you know what I mean? Where it's a full-fledged invasion, and let me see here the best way of doing it. Yeah. Now they're drawing close. This is kind of like an all-out assault, and they're drawing closer, and they're literally just going through each plane of existence. And I want to make it on each plane to where when they cross from one to another, there's kind of turbulence and everything in there. You know what I mean? Like it's not just easy to go from one plane of existence to another, but
Almost like they have to kind of like almost not defeat something or like not the end of the video game. It's like
kind
they
of like
have
a
to get
barrier.
through.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Kind of like a barrier, like
Okay.
like it would be more. Even though I'm not going to mention it as science or magic, it's going to kind of be on the scientific side. You know what I mean? Like they for the longest time thought that if we left the solar system, that there would be some kind of energy that was there But then, like, when the satellite finally reached the edge of our solar system, they found out that it wasn't. It was easy peasy just for the satellite to travel right through it. But they, for the longest time, thought there would be some kind of barrier there that protected us from the outside space. You know what I mean? Or kind of kept us in a bubble, but it wasn't there. But that was the kind of concept that I had. And also, like, back before the 1900s, people thought that the Earth was the center of the solar system. And Aristotle, I believe it was, came up with the concept of
The sun being the center.
well,
Hello, Harry.
he also said that there was barriers which kept everything in its place. You know what I mean? And separated.
I didn't know he said that.
Yeah.
I gotta do some more research. I had no clue. Okie dokie.
But that's the kind of environment I want to set up in the story. You know what I mean? To where, like, there's these barriers there, and with the amount of time that I have to make the short stories, I don't have the time in this story to, get into that. Because I have to pick and choose on what I need to do and what I need to add at a certain period of time within each story. So I do want to add that in, but it's not going to be in this one.
How long? I was about to say, how long do you see the story being?
Well, I do want to have at least 12 short stories. At least 12. And this is going to be the first
For
one.
the whole. Yeah, but I mean, like, how many, I guess, pages or how many chapters do you see for this one?
Well, it's going to be short stories of about 16 pages tops. And then each short story is going to be connected to one another. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to relate to the same world that I've described here.
Yeah, you're definitely going to keep people feeling for more, because 16 I was thinking a little bit longer, but you mean short, and I want you to come back. I got you. I mean, it makes sense.
Now, in the outline, I'm going to have it set up to where Zuther's enemies are closing in, and then it's going to go from there to the planned invasion. Now, when we left off, I was getting into the midpoint, and that's where it's the destruction of Lycia, basically. And that was the part about the fire falling from the skies and stuff like that. And then the bad guys closing in. Well, first, the midpoint should be 1 3/4 of a page long in my short story. So I'm going to make that about 1 3/4 of a page. And that's going to just be describing the destruction of Lycia.
How much have you done so far?
I've gotten this one finished. Now I have to start on the Draco.
Wait, so you have a full 16?
Let me take that back. It's not finished. It's in the raw.
So you could read to me, like, at least 4 pages.
Well, I'm breaking.
You're really holding back.
I'm breaking it down for the strength so that I can kind of explain the process before I get into the story. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
And after I do the midpoint, I'm gonna go into the bad guys close in. That's another part of that plot that I was telling you about with what is it? Save the cat.
Yeah.
And when you do bad guys close in, for this story, it's got to be 2.5 pages long. That's gonna consist of Zuther's enemies closing in. And then the planned invasion from his wife Tiana with the support of the Draco. Instead of invading themselves, the Draco give Tiana all the support that she needs. And also she has the imams that turned against Zuther and became self-proclaimed satraps on her side.
And they're all going after this guy.
Yeah, and then the merchants as well. So they're all just basically closing in on them, and that's gonna take me 2.5 pages to write that out. And then there has to come a point in the story where it's called All Is Lost, and that has to be at least a half a page long, and it's basically I'm gonna have to describe the destruction of Lycia. Okay. Um, Now I'm gonna make a picture of burnt out cities, and the before that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get going on the story about Zuthra and the high heavens of Lycia, and I'm gonna start mentioning the terrorist capital and the divine, which this is the capital where the divine palace is in. You know what I mean? So not only am I describing the high heavens of Lycia, I'm also describing freaking the city that
That's surrounding it.
that's surrounding it. You know what I mean? Surrounding him and his divine palace. And what happens is this city and the divine palace are placed on separate planes of existence, separate from the six that are known. Okay, and they're placed there by the imams, who are still loyal to Zuthra. And after they separate the divine palace, or the divine palace and the terrorist capital of the divine, they separate those two as well. So it goes from being 6 planes of existence to 7, and then to 8. So
So he still has women that'll like support him even with their knowledge of what he actually does, or do these women not have knowledge of what he does?
well, in the story, when I get more into it, you'll kind of understand what happens after they're made into his wives. But like right now, I'm kind of going through the plot and going through the outline that I made for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see.
Now, these imams do is they take the divine palace and the divine the terrorist capital, and they separate that from the other planes of existence. And then after that's separated, they take that divine palace and they put that into another plane of existence, separate from the terrorist capital of the divine. So you have the higher heavens of Lycia, and then you have the divine, or the terrorist capital of the divine, and then after that you have the divine palace. So you got 3 different levels right there. Okay, and they're separate. They're placed on separate planes. Now, when they did this, though, this also included Abtu, who was imprisoned within the lower levels of the divine palace. So you have this divine palace that's separate from the rest of these planes of existence, and down in the lower levels there's Abtu, who's a Draco priest. So you got that going on. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but I would feel like I'd understand it better if I like heard a little snippet. I mean, I'm just saying.
Now, the next thing that I do is, like I said, I describe the destruction of Lycia. So Zuthra is basically in his divine throne room, and he knows that the enemy is almost right on him. You know what I mean? And he knows that the end is close. So while he's there and he's doing that, you got to remember he has all these telepathic abilities. All right, and he's grieving because he can sense the lives lost and everybody within his realm dying and the suffering and the pain. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff is just happening within his head because he has a connection to all that. He's a very powerful being. You know what I mean? And he
No,
can,
I understand.
so he's seeing all this stuff or feeling all this stuff, and then he has envision. He also has visions where he sees people being gathered up by the draconian, and the draconian use humans as either food sources or experimentation with genetics. Um, the
The Draconians do?
Yeah, and
Mm.
he has visions of this happening, and because of this, like the power that used to empower him is, it seems like it's being drained away from him. Okay,
Hmm.
um, and now he starts feeling shame and guilt and self pity and pain, basically over this happening. So he's at the point where, in his mind all is lost. So I have to make a half page long uh, part of the story describing what's going on there. And there's also another one that I have to go through, and it's called Dark Night of the Souls. That's another step in the
Isn't that the awakening? Like when people go through all their crazy feelings and stuff like that, and then
uh,
they are able to elevate, or is that something different for your story?
well, in Dark Night of Souls, that's basically where frickin' it can't get any worse. The only way out of it is up. Okay. So this is where the turning point comes. It's got to be 1 page long in this story, and this is where he's going through the emotions of feeling guilt, shame, suffering, and stuff like that. But then it gets to the point where everything's so bad that there's only one way to go, and that's up, or basically dead. You know what I mean? And that's where he ends up going into Break Into 3, which is half a page long. And Break Into 3 is it's let me I get a better explanation of it here. That way I don't screw it up. And I believe Break Into 3 is 80% the aha moment, the lift yourself up and try again moment. Show the protagonist realizing what they need to do in order to tackle the problems, both external and eternal. And that is at the 80% part of the story. So when you get to the 80% part of the story, that's when you need to do it. And that is where in the story he awakens from a premonition. So all this stuff that he's been seeing and the stuff that's happened that I just described to you was nothing more than a premonition. Okay.
Oh, so he's just thinking about the fact that he's about to get attacked by these women. And, oh my gosh. Are you
Now,
serious?
you remember in the story how I said he came down off the dais
Out
and
the,
he held the
yeah,
hands with the other ones?
yeah.
He went into a vision at that point, and he envisioned all the stuff, and all the stuff that I just described to you was in his visions while he's standing there holding these imams'
So this
hands.
isn't even really actually happening yet. I wonder
Now,
who.
even though it's not happening, he remembered what he saw and
Right.
the imams and the center draconian plot, but it didn't happen yet. But he knows that what he saw was real, though. You know what I mean, and that it was
But
going
man,
to
that
happen.
sucks for Tiana. That makes it harder if he knows ahead of her.
but he knows that it's going to happen soon. All right, that's the thing. And all of a sudden, suddenly he hears familiar words in his mind from the room. Okay, and it's that monk, I guess you could call him. And he yells out, "The act of providence is knowing of things to come before they happen." This is just after he has his premonition. Okay? At that moment, Zuthra immediately knows what to do. You know what I mean? He begins to evacuate his people, and the Imams isolate the high heavens and the palace of the divine, and starts transporting each of them into other planes of existence like he had in his vision. But the problem is he made the same mistake. He still transported Abtu with him as a prisoner in the lower levels of the palace. So even though he was able to freaking do all this stuff before the actual invasion, he still transported Abtu into this separate plane of existence with the divine palace. And this he comes out of his vision just as Abtu was being captured too, by the way. So Abtu is being captured and the invasion is beginning, and he comes out of the vision and sees it all in his mind, and he knows that it's about to happen. So he has that amount of time in which to act. So that's when he starts evacuating people from his kingdom or his realms, you know what I mean, and having them. It's kind of like, I'm gonna make it out like a mass exodus. And for anybody who's familiar with ufology, they'll understand that, especially if they know about the stories of humans that are off-world. You know what I mean?
So I have a question. So he knows it's about to happen basically after he's done his prayer. So he with the next few minutes, hours or so. Is that basically what's happening, and that's why he?
It's the invasion is going to happen fast and swift. So he's looking at maybe having days, maybe a week before this is going to happen. You know, actually hit everybody. So he's getting on the ball. He's gathering his people up for evacuation, and it's time to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? Because he knows what's involved. He knows how powerful it is. So he's got to basically get on the move quick. Like, this is the last second, and he's got to. If he doesn't do anything now, then all's lost, basically. Now, it's basically a mass exodus. So instead of trying to fight him off, because it's going to take him time and effort just to get his army ready and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Like, he knows it makes more sense to dip. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But it's just wild.
But so he is basically there at that point, and I am at the dark night of the souls, and that's got to be 1 page long, which describes that, and then it goes into break into 3, well, which is him waking up from the vision. Basically, that's break into 3. So I gotta get my outline. I've got them separated into freaking I've got them separated into pages. So, wrong one. So on the next one, I believe, is the one I've got. Yeah, no, that's the finale. Yeah, we were on 3. No. Okay, Zuthra Awakens. Then it is on 4. And on 4, the next step is the finale, and that's the mass exodus. Um, and that's going to consist of separating, or uh, everything being separated from the planes, like I explained with the high heavens of Lycia, the terrorist capital, and the divine palace, how they were separated. I'm going to start explaining that, and then I'll start kind of talking about the high heavens of Lycia and the terrorist capital, and then the sentinels, or the sentinels. Now the sentinels are kind of interesting too. The sentinels are actually, let me see a good example here. I got a character sheet that I could show, or I could do for it, I believe. Yeah, character sheets. I believe Alubu was from the higher heavens. No,
And what
no.
does Alubu do? Alubu.
Alubu is he no, Senti is the one right here. Now Senti, I believe, was his first wife. Yeah, Senti. She was the one with the blonde hair, the blue eyes, and she's beautiful.
Yeah.
She was beautiful too. Every time, like any man ever laid their eyes on her, they wanted to have her for themselves. And she was a huntress. She felt like being free and unhindered, and it was more important than anything, even marriage. I mean, to her, just being on the hunt was the big deal. And Senti lived along. She lived among the nature. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I wanted to get in with her. She was more of a huntress, and the people that she was a part of, they were basically like her. They had that image of beauty that just illuminated from them, and they came from the higher heavens of Lycia. You know what I mean? Like, everybody there was just like these beautiful freaking beings, you know what I mean? And whenever they went into other planes, they had to be careful because everybody else desired to have them as their wives or their husbands or anything, you know what I mean? Now,
Yeah, no, they were extremely desirable.
yeah.
Thank
Now,
you.
she,
Okay.
just looking at her, was hypnotic, to people basically, and that was the kind of thing that happened to people who were born and raised in the higher heavens. So it kind of comes with the territory, and that's what I wanted to make those characters out to be. And basically, the Sentinels are these people. You know what I mean? They not only are like that, and they don't only just get into hunting, but they do other things too. Like, they're big on map mapping and things like that. But besides that, they're also like guardians of the Overking. Like, they become sentinels, and that is an aspect that I wanted to put in there when it comes to Senti and her people that were on the higher heavens of Lycia, and their jobs are to be like the guards and stuff. So
I don't know what happened. My phone disconnected. I'm dropping basketball. I'm dropping off at basketball, so it's probably just got hit or something. I don't know. But
It's
okay,
fine.
I'm here now.
It's fine. I was still talking. I knew you went off the air and everything, so. But
I didn't even notice until just this second.
I figured something happened like that. But yeah, I was just kind of explaining like what I what I was relating to with Senti, and the reason why I brought her up was because I wanted to kind of explain what sentinels are, So they have that alluring
And
look.
she was the blonde hair, yeah. And that she
With the
just wanted
blue
to be
eyes.
on the hunt. I heard all that, yeah. And
Yeah.
she wanted to be on the hunt. She didn't really care about like marriage or anything like that. It was just the hunt that was the thrill for her.
Right.
I heard all of that, and then like I don't know what kind of happened. It seemed like it happened really quick, like, and then I
Now,
got back on it.
with uh, with her people though, okay, her people eventually become what they call sentinels, and these sentinels are all they do is they guard over the Overking. And they watch over him and everything that involves the Overking, they're a part of. So they're kind of like his freaking royal guard. You know what I mean? And that's where I wanted that part of about the Sentinels to be emphasized because that's important. So that it's in the story, there's going to be Zuther, there's going to be the Imams, then there's going to be the Sentinels. So the Imams are like his closest priests, and then you have the Sentinels, which are his guard. They're the ones that watch over him. So that's another part that I wanted to bring out.
Are they all women? Oh, you said they're
No,
the men.
they're women and men,
Right,
and
the most beautiful.
the I got that basically from the the civils. You know what I mean? From well, not really the civils. I forgot what it was. It's from basically they're from like Viking history. They talk about the Sentinels. I believe it was the Sentinels.
Yeah, no, I heard of them. I had a teacher in English class in 8th grade. She was like, the Minnesota Vikings, anything Vikings. She was like, just everything Vikings, the Storming. I cannot forget her. And so that's the most I know about the Vikings, though, from her. No, not that part.
And these were supposed to be flying creatures. They look like women, but really they aren't women. Yeah, I didn't want to make everyone in this category be just women either. I wanted it to be a man-woman society. So it kind of blends off from there to like D&D because like or Forgotten Realms. Mostly D&D is where I got this idea because there's a part of the old D&D stories where you go to a land like this and to get up to the higher levels of the divine, you have to freaking go up a mountain, and there's different levels within the mountain until you make it to the top. And I really like that, so I wanted to incorporate something like that into Lycia, to where it would have its own
Ascension?
yeah.
Hmm.
Like,
Sounds good.
so I didn't want to make any of this too D&D. I didn't want to make it too sciencey or ufology. I wanted to kind of blend it together. And
Right, so it make a whole new genre,
yeah.
like, technically, right?
Hmm. So we got the mass exodus, and it had begun. It had begun, and that would be the Draconian invasion, which was led by Tiana. And I really shouldn't call it the Draconian invasion because they basically supported Tiana to do it, but that's how I wrote it down. And now all the people that were supporting the Draconian, that was taken over by that drug Selma, and people who just followed his teachings out of greed and all that. People who were deceived, they
Yeah.
stayed behind, and they stayed behind, and they awaited the draconians who were going to be their new masters. And Zuthra organized the best routes of evacuation so that he could evacuate his people, and he chose planets where they needed to travel to, and places where they would eventually resettle. Merchant ships, I'm going to make it to where merchant ships that were still loyal to Zuthra were loading passengers up. And I also want to set it up to where, like military battleships that are in space were en route and they were preparing for battle. But as they fell out of like hyperspace, freaking it was too late. The Draconian battle cruisers were already there, and they were basically shot out of the, shot to smithereens, basically. So, I think I redid that. I don't know for sure if I did or not, but that's kind of what I want to get. That's where you start getting like the more sci-fi part of it in, because so far I've covered like the abilities of Zuthra and stuff like that, but there has never been anything about like the technology, But right here is where I want to kind of slide that in there. And when their fleets fall out of hyperspace, and on arrival, they're basically destroyed immediately. The Draconian fleets were there to meet them, and while this is going on, all of those merchant ships filled with passengers and cargo are fleeing away on their exodus. I'm going to be describing that. And
this is all happening in the first story, or is this all like as to
right at the end of the first story?
Okay.
And they're heading to locations that are considered safe. Zuthra, though, stays with the divine throne room, and he's placed on a plane of existence separate from the rest. So you have humans that are fleeing outward, and Zuthra is being placed on a different plane of existence. And
who's doing this though?
Huh?
What is doing this? The acts are making it to where you're saying that they're being placed on a different plane of existence.
Yeah, the imams have the power to do that. The moms and Zuthra actually has the power to do it as well.
And that's how they were able to separate it in the first place.
Yeah,
I got it.
And like I said, there's only 6 known planes of existence. So
and then it turns to be an 8, right?
Well, yeah, now it turns into being 8. And the reason why I said that is because I mentioned known. So there is more planes of existence. It's just they know of 6. You know what I mean? 6 planes that they can travel between. And then there's different cultures, there's different societies. Some of them are more primal. Some of them are more technological. Some can travel in space, some can't. So there's a lot of different things going on within these realms, you know what I mean? Different types of beings, things like that. So after the finale, I already went over that, 81 to 91%. Okay, the protagonist does what they decide to do in the break into 3B, say, this is where I'm at right now. And because of all the learning and growing they've done in the support or insight from the B story, which I didn't put a B story in, so their plan works. The bad guys are defeated, or the everything comes to an end basically. But the bad guys aren't defeated in this story. Um,
Wait. So who do you consider the bad guys? The girls attacking them, or the guy that they're attacking?
the Draconian, of course. I mean,
Okay, and you're saying they're not defeated.
no, they're not defeated. No,
But are they not attacking for a noble reason? Like he was
no,
taking advantage of. You don't think so?
no.
He
They're
was taking
just
advantage of women.
no. They are attacking the Draconians. They own well. First of all, I'm not to that point where I should be describing it, but the Draconians don't really freaking want to destroy humanity. Okay, I can get into that here in a little bit when I start reading the story and stuff, but just to put it to you this way, there's a reason why they want humans to be mindless followers, and there's also a reason why they do genetic research, and that goes into the whole ufology thing that inspired me to do that part. So you're going to find out new things that are happening with the Draconian, alright? They do use humans as food sources, don't get me wrong, okay? But
Yeah.
they also freaking have no problem with eating themselves. They'll feed
Oh my
on
gosh.
themselves too. Like they don't freaking have a problem with eating other reptiles. So
Oh my gosh.
you know what I mean. It's
Mm-mm.
so these are the kind of beings that you're dealing with when it comes to the Draco. But don't get them wrong, they're very intelligent. You know what I mean? They've learned how to survive over millennia because they come from a realm that's, well, the lowest realm is complete darkness. Okay, so they've gone, and that's where their leaders are, in the darkest realms of the known planes of existence. So
So their leaders are in the darkest planes of known existence, and then this is how they're able to manifest, or I guess breed, or because are they birthed, or
that is going to be mentioned in the next short story.
oh, okay. Excuse me for getting ahead of myself. I apologize. I have to stay one step at a time. I got it. Are you gonna read to me? You haven't read to me. You done a lot of talking. You haven't read to me yet.
I'm going through my stuff, man.
You're not gonna read any of the story.
Now, after that, I have to do the finale image, which is kind of like the first part where, you know, how I described what the throne room looks like.
Yes.
I have to do the same thing for the final image. I have to.
It sounds like the top of a pyramid, just based on, but I mean, like more grungy, or what the inside of a pyramid may look like.
Now
almost.
On the final image, I'm going to make a image of the divine palace, the divine throne room, and the lower levels of the divine palace that has Ob2 in it, and with the let me see. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I gotta mute. I'm getting bit barbarians. Oh my god.
Oh hell.
I know.
Be careful.
Yeah, welcome to Florida.
You alright?
Yeah, I just didn't want to be like dancing and screaming on the show. Like I took my shoes off. I'm outside, and I got like ants crawling all over me. It's like they smelled the flesh. They're like, oh yeah, fresh meat. And now I'm itchy. Okay, I'm okay. I'm gonna mute, but I'm definitely listening. Oh, I'm so itchy.
So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna describe Lycia laid in ruins, while the imams who now proclaim themselves as satraps regain their power under the control of the new empress Tiana. So Tiana's made empress, and she's not only empress, but she's basically a puppet ruler for the Draconian Empire. These Draconian,
Puppet ruler, so she kind of masseteers or puppeteers other people,
she,
or
she's basically just a puppet ruler. She's somebody who does exactly what the Draconians
oh,
want her to do,
does not
regardless.
sound much like a ruler, but okay.
Yeah. So they just put her on the throne and said, "Do what we do say, or we kill you," basically. So these draconian rulers, they speak telepathically through human slaves. All right, and they're usually the ones that are captured during the invasion, or the followers of the Draco. You know, the the ones that only heard what the Draconian, and they're basically, all they hear is what the Draconians tell them, and they follow them faithfully because they're high on these on Soma, this drug that the Draco controls the majority of the humans with. Now later, these slaves and followers, they flee like the other ones did before, but that's only because Tiana slowly gives in to her, like, the darkness inside of her head, inside of her mind, and she starts offering more humans to the Draco, as payment for her being ruler.
How did she learn about what was happening to her from Zarata? How do I say his name?
Zithra.
Zitra.
Zithra.
How? Yeah. How do I? I mean, how did
Well,
she learn about what was happening?
here in a little bit, I'll start reading the rough draft to you, but I'm kind of explaining the outline and the plot for you, so you kind of know what's going on and what's taking place and the structure that I'm putting behind it. You know what I mean? But I will get into the story and let you know more about it as I go, because, like, this is just the outline and the plot. It's got to be written, you know what I mean? And it has been written into a raw draft, but I still want to go through this on the stream so that, well, I want to show how the outline for this story is going, and the plot, and how I'm doing it and stuff like that. So, but I will go over the raw draft of it.
Are you almost done the second ones too? Or I mean, I know you said this is the rough draft of this one. Have you already started on them as well?
I've started on the plot and
Mm.
with the Draco. Now, there's with the Draco, I'm really going to have to come up with some good stuff, because these are the reptilians, and the majority of the stuff with reptilians is going to have to come off of ufology and Forgotten Realms. And the reptiles on Forgotten Realms and the ones in ufology are kind of like day and night on some aspects. But, like, um, you know how in lore, in today's folklore, they got the Mothman? Have you ever heard of the Mothman? Okay, so basically, the Mothman is kind of got the body structure of what the leaders of the Draco are. They have the wings on the back of them where they can fly and stuff like that.
Like on that movie where, like, the I want to say cockroaches, but they weren't. They were grasshoppers took over, but there's a man instead. I know the Fly. I've seen it, but I'm just saying, like, is it less man and more animal, or is it more animal? You know what I mean? More man, less animal.
Um, with the Draco, they're they're reptilians, and they're actually smarter than humans in some aspects, like on the genetics and stuff like that, and what they're wanting to do with humans. But you know what I'm saying? Like, humans in this story are all telepathic mostly. They've got the abilities of telepaths, which the Draco do too, by the way, but it's different, you know what I mean? And yeah, those are the things I have to go through and I have to sort out with them, because it's going to be a lot more complicated than just doing humans, you know what I mean? And I want to focus in on like their scales and what they get from their scales and stuff, and their body weight.
Oh, so it's powerful.
Yeah.
From it.
And things of that nature. That's what I want to get with it. But anyhow, Tiana, she begins to have desires for more pain and suffering from her subjects, and this makes her have more enjoyment out of it, and soon she it just overpowers her and it overcomes her, and even her subjects, who are like mindless followers of freaking the Draco, they kind of stop and take a look, and they're like, they wake up, you know, from being that way, and they're like, oh, this woman's trying to kill us. So they evacuate eventually too and flee from Lycia, until Lycia becomes desolate and it's just a memory, you know, a lost civilization that fell many years ago, basically, you know, and that's how I want that story to end. So after that, I'm going to go into the Draco story, and I'm going to start it out at this point, and it's going to explain the Draco and Obtu and everything, and then it's going to stop, and it's going to be from way, way long time ago. You know what I mean? So the final part of this story goes, it could end up being, you know, just somebody sitting down and telling lore about what happened, you know,
in that battle.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and because it's, like I said, it's going to be over different time spans.
Does it open the realm for the next set in the series? I mean, I get it that it's going to be, you said about, what is it, 16 books in it? Or how many books? Yeah.
And there's going to be different characters. Like these are just the beginning characters. There's actually, and I do have the character sheets for each character that I'm going to use. So it's just, this is the beginning. This is what starts it out. So, and like I said, this right here is a rough draft of what I'm writing. So even though I do have it written out, it still could be changed. So I mean, no, I read.
You still have stuff that you might add or take out.
Yeah. Well, I've got to stay according to the plot too. So if I do add something, I have to make sure that it goes according to the plot and the outline, because I'm wanting it to be a plotted story. So that's kind of tricky too.
Now, what gave you this idea? Just from your studies?
Well, I've been writing stories all my life. I mean, the thing is, though, I never took freaking making a plotted story very serious. I mean, I just didn't want to do it.
Sounds like you're doing it now.
That's what I'm doing now. This is the second story I've done it on. The first one was 165 pages, and it's considered a short story too. But
where is that at?
It's I haven't published it or anything. I've got it written. I did it for NaNoWriMo, and I got really disappointed with that situation, but I never went back to it. And I'll do it eventually, but I'm gonna sit on it for a while, let it freaking stir, see if there's new ideas that come out of it.
That's nice. NaNoWriMo. I never heard of it before.
So here's part 2. I'm gonna read to you for it. I try to keep them separate into different pages. So I'll read this to you. Okay. You ready?
Yes, I'm gonna mute, and I'm
All right. As energy springs from the mystical pool of vision, an astute, discerned watcher stands above it, staring down into its magical waters, watching the visions as they pass in and out, as if he was watching and deciphering those visions as they happen, harnessing the great secrets that this pool brings by deciphering its hidden messages. His name is Zuthra, and he is known as the Overking of Lycia. Zuthra's eyes glow a bright blue, with a gleaming, transparent tiara upon his head. His long, curly hair and a matching beard hang down past his shoulders and chest. As Overking, it is his responsibilities to secure the future of his bloodline. That is his utmost responsibility above all others, even more important than the responsibilities of being the Overking. Seclusion is the only life that the Overking knows. He must live his life alone. So, seduction is a part of the role he must play. Energy spills upward out of the pool of visions as Zuthra raises his arm into the air. This energy flows through his body as Zuthra closes his eyes and visions of the past enter his mind. The pillars begin to glow as priests dressed in shrouded cloaks gather around him. Zuthra places his hands into the air and of the mystic no. Zuthra places his hands into the water of the mystical pool of visions and opens his eyes. As he raises his arms into the air. Lowering his arms, Zuthra takes the hand of one of the priests standing beside him, and they are all now circling the pool. The memories seem to be transferred between them, like a conduit transferring energy from its source to its outlet. Afterward, the priests return to a corner within the throne room. Afterwards, the priests return to a corner within the throne room, and this ritual is then repeated over and over again. When Zuthra raises and lowers his arms, at the end of each ceremony, a priest will then announce in a loud voice that is heard across the entire throne room. The act of providence is knowing of things to come before they happen. And that is the second reading that I've got right there.
Wait, hold on. You read no, you cheating me. You read that last week. Yes, you did, because I remember that end part, and
I was
the act of
explaining it.
providence is no.
No,
Man.
I'm doing the third one anyhow, so just.
Oh, you're going. Okay. I was like, you're trying to get me. Like, I know what I know. You're not gonna get me. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All intelligent beings live within the known planes of existence, and there are 6 known realms within these planes. The first 3 are ruled by Lycia and are called the higher heavens of Lycia, Protean, and the cardinal realm. Then there are the 3 darker realms ruled by the Draco, a reptilian race of beings. These are the Orphidian, Serpentine, and Saurian realms. There is a lot of diversity throughout all of these realms, with many environments, cultures, civilizations, and beasts that run wild within them. Within these cultures and civilizations, some people live basic lives day to day, while others travel the stars. Some travel between the realms, while others know nothing outside of their own world. Some realms are uncivilized, primal, and filled with every kind of crawling thing, but some are more civilized. Tribal beings are spread within every realm, culture, and civilization abroad. Civilization travel Civilizations travel the stars and have advanced civilizations, while other civilizations without technology are everywhere too. Some with a moral outlook of things, while others can travel the stars, have an advanced technology, but have no value for life. The dominant species within Lycia are human, while the dominant species within Draco are the Draconian, of course. Slavery is practiced throughout all of the realms, except for the higher heavens of Lycia. Not every culture and civilization within each of the realms practice the use of slaves, though, and are against it. Others Others destroy cities and villages for the single purpose of collecting slaves. It is the survival of the fittest, and only the strong shall survive in unforgiving and barren environments that are able to kill. Just as much cruelty is committed by humans as well as by the Draco. So that right there is the basic sum of what is going on within the story when it comes to these civilizations and the realms, and how harsh they are to one another. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like a fairy tale land that you're gonna meet up with Mary Poppins or
Hello
somebody.
Kitty, right?
Right.
Exactly. So it's really crazy grungy, yeah, but I can see it. Dungeon. Oh, what is it? Now, Dueling Dragons. Well, that's
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons, but
There's also going to be some influence from ufology, though, in there, like the genetic part. Like, there's a lot of ufologists who talk about like the secret space program and stuff like that, and I mean, it's not a matter of believing them or not. It's just their stories are freaking amazing. Just sitting and listening to them. So even if they aren't real, these people have imaginations like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I would kill for some of their imagination, to be honest. It's amazing, some of it. So it kind of inspired me to where if I do want to write this story, I'd like to add some stuff into it, like underground tunnels and stuff like that on a planet that's freaking barren, and you can't live on the surface, but you can.
but you can go underground.
Right, things like
Yeah.
that. Those are kind of stuff that I would be interested in, or domed cities that are inside of craters on moons, or even on
Yeah.
planets. Can you imagine a huge crater with a freaking dome city in the middle?
I can imagine it, but living in it is something different. Like, I can see it, but actually like living in it, like, because everything changes, or does the atmosphere? Okay, this is like really on topic, but like, does the atmosphere develop around you? Like, so are there no more trees and no more flowers and all the pretty
you'd,
stuff?
you'd have to terraform it. I mean,
So you
and,
could do
and
that.
and the materials that are used for like buildings and stuff, that they would have to look like the surface of the planet. So, like, say the soil's pink, like on Mars, that means that all the stones that are used are going to be pink freaking buildings.
Or look nice though.
know what I mean?
People, yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I do want to incorporate into it. But with
Then you
that,
can make the flowers. If you do it like that and you add that within your storytelling, I mean, I feel like you could kind of develop it because once you write stuff, it kind of comes true.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes.
I mean, I don't know if it's gonna come true. You know, I mean, that's a. But I like it, and the more I do it, the more things are getting tamed out, and I've got to focus more on trying to like that's the raw story. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's not gonna sound like that in the end because I have to have actual conversations too, and then I have to make sure that when I say it, I'm not over saying it. Like the word civilization is getting used a little bit too much in that last part.
You're hoping to be able to have like an anonym for it or yeah, synonym for it, not yeah, something similar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Civilization, society, culture, existences.
So I have
Yeah,
to go
lively.
over all that and get it straight and maintained. So we have come to an hour and 24 minutes, and I have read two parts of the story for you, so you should be happy.
I am like the May. I'm not ecstatic like I could be if I could get, but I'm acceptant and grateful for that what you did this close. Because the story is like a cliffhanger as it is. So I guess it's gonna be like that. Even when you get finished reading the first one. It's like, okay, so that's it. It's like it doesn't even sound like a stopping point that you're stopping at. So it's
Yeah.
good, I get it, because that's the point. But not for me. I guess so if you're alive. I guess if you're alive, it is. But it's cool. So tomorrow, what are we doing? Is it? It's not
um,
conspiracy tomorrow, is it?
no, tomorrow's history, I believe.
Oh, what are you doing?
We're, I figure we should continue where we left off with the Phoenicians. So,
Okay, nice. Yeah, Philippius and cool and Toth, which is not really Toth, and yeah,
Pilatus.
Okidi Pilates. Yes,
Yeah.
Okie dokie, cool.
So, I am going to end this now since we've made it to. Uh, we've actually gotten up to on the recording. It's at 1:12, so that's even good too. So.
Dang, I wish we could have stopped at 111. I was probably running around the mouth, but it's okay. Okie
But
dokie.
I will talk to you later, okay?
Yep, have a good night. Be safe.
You too.